Hello, I'm the Weft Wright, and welcome to my back porch. I'm usually inside in my studio, but it's such a beautiful, breezy July day here in the mountains that I thought I would do this product review and carding demonstration outside. I am reviewing a product. I have reviewed before the electric eel wheel yarn counter, but I thought since we're in the midst of the Tour de Fleece, that we would review a fiber processing tool. And this is the Drum Carder by Uncle Kolya. Thankfully, it gives it to me in Cyrillic, but also in English so that I can read it out loud. This drum carder I bought on Etsy. It is made in the Ukraine, and it is significantly less expensive, even with shipping, than other similar products that you can get purchased here in the US. And I've never used it, so I'm really excited to try it on some of the fiber that I scoured in the last video. What this product came with for, I think I spent $472, including shipping. The shipping was quite expensive because it is a large object, but it is extremely well made. And the items that it came with was an extra drive belt, 2 clamps to clamp it to a table, a doffing, not a hook, but a doffing awl, and it also came with a packing brush. So all in all, it's a pretty good value. It also came with this handy user's guide. It shows some other products also made by Uncle Kolya. The user's guide is in Ukrainian and in English. And it's pretty simple to use. I'm going to see if I need to make some adjustments. It did include this wrench, which is used to adjust these bolts so that I can adjust the licker on or feeder wheel further or closer to the main drum. So I don't know, let's get it set up and see how it cards.
Well, it was a very easy process to clamp the drum carder to the table with the 2 provided clamps, and they were very stable except for one exception, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Everything seemed to be in good order, and I will admit I'm by no means an expert at drum carding. I've only used one other drum carder in my life, but I found this to be fairly easy to use. I don't have a picker, so I'm going to just pick by hand and also remove a little bit of VM as I'm doing this by hand. And I was not gentle. I really put this drum carder through its paces. I started lightly by putting just a little bit of fiber in, but then I really started to kind of cram it in, which I know is not the most efficient way of using a drum carder. You'll notice right here that it stopped turning, and that is entirely my fault. When I put the handle on this after I received it, I didn't tighten that bolt down, that little nut. So just hand tightening it and turning the handle, and it tightened itself back up, and it worked just fine from that point forward. So that's entirely operator error. This is a good time to talk about how it was packed. It came fully assembled, and it came safely. Nothing was damaged. However, they used bead foam to pack it, and that bead foam got absolutely everywhere in all the tines of the drum carder. It was kind of a pain to clean. So as I said, on the plus side, nothing was damaged and it arrived safely, but on the downside, it took a long time to clean out the carding cloth. This fleece has a lot of second cuts in it, a lot of VM. It was not a very high quality fleece. So the drum carder is probably not the ideal tool for processing it. I probably should have combed this fiber. It is long enough to comb, but I had the drum carder and I really wanted to try it. It was very easy to operate and worked quickly. I didn't notice any strong resistance. When I put in a lot of fiber at once, of course, there's a moment where it's a little bit hard to crank, but nothing that wasn't easy to overcome. One thing that I did notice is that unlike some other drum carders, there aren't guides for feeding in the fiber that prevent it from going over the sides of the drum. And so occasionally there would be some fiber going over the sides of the drum. That was mainly my fault because I was putting the fiber in along the edges. As you see, I'm speeding up a little bit here because I did end up processing this through 3 times. I tried it 4 times, but I didn't notice a significant difference. So for most of the batch of fiber, I just ran it through the drum carder 3 times, which gave me some nice quality fiber to spin from. On the second time through, it was much easier to run through the carder, obviously because the fiber had been opened up and it was not as clumpy as it was. One thing that I noticed is without any alteration, the distance between the liquor in and the main drum was kind of perfect. It processed the fiber very well, and I'll show a photo later of what came off of the liquor in. You'll notice that it's mainly small nips and noils as opposed to large amounts of the good fiber. Here I tried to hold on to the fiber a little bit, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I just wanted to try it. It seemed to handle that well. No disasters happened. When I am processing the fiber through on the second go around, I actually like to feed it in horizontally. I think that distributes the fibers a little more evenly. I know that carding creates a randomized pattern of the fibers, organized chaos, if you will. But I think that if you keep rotating the direction that you're putting it in to the machine, it does a very good job of blending. You'll notice that the fibers are going in horizontally as opposed to straight in. I'm not loading the drum to capacity. I didn't weigh the fiber in advance to see how many ounces could fit on the drum, but I got it fairly full, and using the provided packer brush, I was able to pack it down so that it continued to card smoothly. Here's one of the places that I did have a complaint. I am right-handed, so I want to put the doffer in from the side with the gears on it. But when I do that, I'm going against the clamp on the table and the drum carder raises up a little bit. It wasn't a big issue because I could just bring the doffer in from the other side, but this was my first batch and I didn't know that yet. So I did have the machine lifting off the table slightly, which I didn't like. This may be a problem with other drum carders as well, though. As I said, I've only used a Brother drum carder once before. So after running the fiber through 3 times, I decided that I wanted to take it off in Rolags. I am used to spinning cotton. It's actually what I learned to spin on, and I prefer spinning cotton on Rolags or Poonies. So I figured I would spin the wool this way as well. So I'm just using 2 dowels. It comes off the drum pretty easily. I will say that when I get further on into the fiber, I wish it had a little more resistance, and I wonder if there's any way of breaking it so that it can't spin quite so freely when I'm trying to take the fiber off. Maybe a project for another day. Maybe you'll see it here. See, when I'm trying to pull it off, it turns so easily because it has bearings that keep it turning very smoothly. So I figured I could hold on to the handle with my hand and try to turn. It was a little bit of a pain. I don't think it would be that difficult to rig up some kind of braking system, though. Another perfect row lag. Now it's time to introduce you to my second spinning wheel, Arda. She is a Kromski Fantasia wheel, and I really enjoy spinning on her, but I have a few caveats. First of all, this open flyer system, which has an orifice that's open in the front, is really convenient when I'm spinning art yarn, which is one of the main reasons I bought this wheel, is to have a jumbo flyer for spinning art yarn. But it doesn't give you a place to tie your yarn off to when you're preparing more fiber or have to take a break, so that's a little inconvenient. I end up tying it to the tension knob on the brake band, which works fine. It works well. I really enjoy the way it looks. Some people complain about it because the wheel itself is made out of a composite wood, but I just used a black stain, and combined with the stain and oil finish that I put on the rest of the wheel, I think it looks quite attractive. I do enjoy that the jumbo flyer can be used with different size pulleys, so I can use a standard size pulley to spin the jumbo flyer faster than the jumbo size pulleys. So I could use it for plying. So I can take two bobbins, standard bobbins, off another wheel and ply it together and have it all on one bobbin on this wheel, which is very convenient. My only real complaint and why I don't reach for this wheel more often is because the double treadle is really uncomfortable for me. I'm a larger person with larger thighs, and holding them together for long periods of time while treadling can be a little bit painful on my hips. Other than that, I don't have many complaints about this wheel. It is incredibly reasonably priced, one of the least expensive castle style spinning wheels on the market today, though it has gone up since I bought mine. And I really would recommend this to anyone who's a new spinner. I think it's a very easy wheel to learn on.
Well, there you have it. I really had a fun time working with this drum carder. As I mentioned, I've only used a drum carder once before, so I'm no expert, but this one was very easy to use and did a really great job. I have a whole stack of row lags. In fact, I've already spun about half of them, so the stack's looking a little short, but I really had to get in there and try it, and it really prepped the fiber very well, and I'll be using him again, I'm sure. I wanted to give a few more details about the product, so I'm going to read off my iPad here. It is an 8-inch carder, so it's 8 inches wide, the carding cloth. The version that I got was 108 tines per inch TPI. You can get it in 96 as well. I tend to work with more finer wools and alpacas and things like that, so I got the higher TPI. The bat size that you can make is 21 by 55 centimeters, so you can plug that into your phone and figure out what that is in inches if you use imperial measurements. What it comes with is a brush, or a packing brush, an awl puller, which some people call a doffer, a socket wrench for making adjustments, 2 clamps, and the belt. One complaint that I had was after a little bit of turning, you could hear a little squeaking in one of the bearings. And I don't know the full cause of that. I put a little spray silicone on it, and it ended that squeaking, and there were no other issues. As you see, it's not squeaking now. You'll have to forgive me. In the videos that I showed earlier, I didn't have the sound recording, so you couldn't hear that squeaking that I was talking about. I mentioned earlier that I was going to show you the material that came off of the liquor in. Here's that right now. You'll notice it's very little, a whole pound of wool, and that's all that stuck to the liquor in, and almost all of it is little neps and second cuts and things that I wouldn't want in my fiber anyway, so it did its job. I know I mentioned earlier that this fiber had a lot of VM in it, and though I know the ideal way of removing VM is to use a set of combs as opposed to carding, the carding actually did a pretty good job. And because there's an open bottom underneath where the drum is, a lot of the dirt and VM that was left in the wool fell right through and is now on my table. And as soon as I remove the drum carder, I can sweep that away and the deed is done. So would I recommend this carder? 100%. It, including shipping and all the accessories that it came with, is less expensive than just the base product from some other companies. I'm not disparaging those other companies. As I said, I've used Brother drum carders before, and they work very well. They're really, really great products. But even the cheapest one of those is more expensive than this was, including shipping. That being said, inexpensive is relative when you're talking about a piece of equipment that cost me $417 to purchase. I had to make payments on it. I don't have a big budget for my fiber equipment, but the price point of this product enabled me to be able to have a drum carder, which I wouldn't have had otherwise, because I simply couldn't have afforded to purchase one from another company. So I would recommend it. Just make sure you screw on that handle tight before you get started. Once again, total operator error. So next week, I'm excited because I'll be spinning the wool that I carded in this episode, and I get to see the fruits of my labor for this year's Tour de Fleece. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel. Also, I started my new website for the Weft Wright. There's some products on there, including some really fun merchandise if you're interested in that sort of thing. And there's also a blog, and one blog post in particular about a lazy spinner's perspective on the Tour de Fleece. So you can check that out in the description below. Once again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.